Before I start this video, quick shout out to my amazing and incredible tier patrons, Eli Grumble and Freddie Freeman. If you want to help support the channel and get your name in the beginning and the end of every single video, as well as some awesome tier rewards, consider checking out my Patreon. Link is in the description. Enjoy the video. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to That's Not Horror Thursday, the game show where everybody leaves more disappointed than the end of the room. My name is Wings, and today, on this very moment, we will be exploring a forgotten past, the continuation of a forgotten character. His name is Phil, and he's no longer oily. This is the legend of Oily Phil, Part 2. Aw, Phil, I missed you, buddy. It's been a while. It's been a while. We're here with some awesome new mods, and Skyrim's looking better than it ever has. Not really. We're gonna take it upon ourselves to launch us into the world, and I think it's only fitting that we start this in the same place we started the first time. Nah, fuck that. We're going straight to Whiterun.
Even the lowest among us can rise to greatness.
Yeah, it's great. Phil's not rising to anything great, but maybe he might get a boner on the way, and that'll be a good enough ride for him. Now, Phil's been through a lot since the last time you saw him. He's gonna go through a lot more with me behind the wheel. Who put this fucking hood on me? Take that shit off. There we go. There's our man. Alright, Phil's first order of business is to kit. Oh, I forgot to mention, Phil underwent a lot of psychiatric problems, so everyone to him looks like ponies. They're not actually ponies, but Phil he's very traumatized by his last experience. He died a lot, so everyone looks like ponies to Phil. I'm not actually here, I'm Phil's inner voice. So anything you see Phil do, I'm just the voice of reason talking to you from Phil's brain. And Phil, that's not a good idea, buddy. You should put that back. Phil, you listening to me? Nah, Phil's not listening. Phil, don't do it. Phil, how are you carrying that in front of you without dropping? Phil, come on, Phil, you're better than that, man. Look, it disappeared. Nope, there it is. Phil, that's an apple. Good shot. Phil, come on, don't. God damn it. Phil, what are you doing? Little did Phil know that everyone outside of this tavern was also ponies. No one else could see the ponies but Phil, but he knew in his heart that he was right. This brand new world was alien to Phil. He was not aware or accustomed to these new ways of the lands. Phil didn't know how to react, so he took all of his clothes off. And with that, Phil took a stroll, examining all the ponies around him. No one knew what was going on. Why there was a naked man strolling through— what? No. Why was there a big hunk of man strolling through the city?
You're naked!
Shut up. They just knew that Phil was coming. He's hard as a rock. Phil, now living in this mysterious land, discovered that he had these newfound abilities and powers. Phil tested them out, but to his surprise, they weren't exactly good. Phil watched as the chaos unfold as everyone around him started to kill each other. Phil didn't know what to do, so he just fucking dipped. Phil, very scared, afraid, and terrified, no matter how big of a hunk of man he was, he knew he had to flee. Some fights, you just can't win. Fleeing for his life, Phil knew that there was something below him that could help him out. And by that, I mean there was a horse nearby he could steal. And in a moment, everyone seemed to sheath their weapons, and no one was terrible anymore. Phil stole the nearest horse, uncaring of what might happen or the consequences. He fled north to the Greybeards, where he might seek answers as to what's going on. Phil, I said go north. What are you doing? Phil stopped to teabag the giant. Come on, Phil, what are you, 6? Phil also took it upon himself to take all of the potatoes. Yeah, Phil, he's running. That's what you get for leaving. Phil remounted his horse and took off. Noticing the people notice him take the horse, he ran. Phil then realized he needed to go north, but continued east. Phil, seeing the rabid dog ahead of him, knowing he should keep going and not try to fight the beast, no matter how big Phil is. Phil, what are you doing? Phil, some fights you just can't win, buddy. I'm serious. And somehow Phil comes out victorious. How? We don't fucking know. Phil, I'm serious, dude. Stop. Phil, come on, man. It's not worth it. You can't win this fight, Phil. Yeah. It sucks, doesn't it? You can't win some of these, Phil. One of these days, Phil's gonna learn how to speak, and no one's gonna be happy. Phil fled from the guy in all dressed full armor, knowing he could not win that fight. Discovering a bear, he fled. I said Phil, come on, man. Phil, asserting his dominance, punched the bear and fled east. Phil, you're trying to fucking piss me off at this point, aren't you? Despite everything Phil had been through this far, He knew his adventure was not over. Phil was going to storm the tower and take everything inside, desperately needing gear, desperately needing a weapon, and somehow levitating above the ground every 2 seconds. Phil knew what he had to do, and Phil was ready. And then the game crashed, and that was the end of the video. Phil, now being chased and trying to be pummeled to death by a horse, knew there was only one way out, and that was to cheat, and that was the wrong button. Alright, Phil, buddy, we're in the safety of the cheat room. You can do whatever you want. Prepare yourself for the world. It's gonna be a doozy. I see Phil is going all out. The fuck is this? Super Fusroda. Okay, Phil wants to do a little bit of crafting. That's fine. Phil, what the fuck, man? Where did you get these? Phil, who taught you how to make an AK? Phil, come on. That's just straight up cheating. That's just straight up cheating, and you know it. Come on, Phil. Really? A ring that lets you carry infinite stuff? Why would you need that? Phil, what are you up to? Phil, come on, man. Do you really need it? Okay, you made the AK. Phil, my man. Oh God, Phil. Did you really need an AK? Alright, well, Phil's off to wreak his havoc. Where's he going to wreak his havoc? Oh, Phil, don't do it. You remember what happened last time you went to Windhelm? No. And just like that, there was no stopping Phil. He was on a quest for revenge. There was nothing anyone could say to stop this burling torpedo of fuck. Phil, now only moments away from enacting his revenge on the people who shot him down so long ago. He's ready, and he's able. Phil, listen to me, man. You don't have to do this. We can turn back right now. There's a lot of guards in here, and there's a lot of people that know how to fight. You've never been in a fight before. Well, you have, but you got your ass kicked. Phil, we can turn back. You can take that half-ass limp, and we can turn right around and go home. Come on, Phil. Listen to me, man. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. Oh, Phil, not him. He's just a... They're just poor folk. Don't do it, Phil. Oh, Phil, not the horses too. Not the horses too. Phil! Phil's gone mad with power. No one can stop him. All right, Phil, if we're gonna do this, buddy, we're doing it right. Be careful. Oh my fucking God. No one on this planet could stand in Phil's way. He no longer needed the AK. He has the power of the gods. The AK was useless to him. Ah! Fucking Christ! Phil, don't do it! And just like that, Phil stood at the door where he experienced so much pain so long ago. No one was gonna stop Phil. Not even Phil. Phil stormed to the door. He knew his time was now. No one was gonna stop him from enacting his revenge. Everyone was fair game, and Phil was in the business for blood. These monstrosities that have been created by Phil's brain were enough to drive any man insane. So much so, he even toyed with some of them, begging them to try and fight, and then destroying them, once and for all. Phil didn't want to have to kill everyone, but they left him no choice. As he entered the castle, he knew it was going to be a one-way trip. Phil felt no pain. Phil was gonna end this once and for all. Phil credited the Jarl for his feeble attempt to stop him. Nothing was going to end this war but Phil. It wasn't over yet. The Jarl was down, but not finished. All these guards were just cannon fodder. The Jarl was who he was after. With one swift punch and one to the back of the head, Phil finished it with the force of 1,000 gods. One after another, Phil pounded the Jarl with pushes of gods. It wasn't over until Phil said it was over. Finally, Phil knew it had to end. Phil was hit by the power of 1,000 winds, but it didn't stop him. He ended it once and for all. With one final swift foos, row, and die. Phil's exit from Windhelm was not easy, but he made it out in one piece. And with one final leap of faith, Phil left the same way he did many moons ago. And just like that, it was over. Phil had gotten his revenge on Windhelm. The place had caused him so much pain and misery. Phil was done. Phil then removed his armor and returned to whence he once was. A mere man. A mere mortal man. I'm just fucking with you. Phil's not mortal. He's not even man. Phil will roam these roads for all of his days. Phil will carry his legacy for eternity. Phil will never be forgotten. Phil's gonna make it, you'll see. You'll all see. And just like that, Phil's story came to an end. Thank you all so much for watching, and good night.